Welcome to the North State Breakdown with Benjamin Nguyen. Today, I'd like to discuss the upcoming appointment of the Shasta County's new Registrar of Voters, and why this decision might already be less about qualifications and more about political loyalty. This Wednesday, April 30th, the Shasta County Board of Supervisors will hold a special meeting to appoint a new Registrar of Voters after the abrupt retirement of Tom Toller for health reasons. The board, led by Chair Kevin Cry and Supervisor Alan Long, narrowed a pool of applicants down to 5 finalists. On the surface, the meeting looks like an open process, where the board will interview candidates and select the best fit for Shasta County. But appearances can be deceiving. The appointment process is a one-day schedule and has clear signs of political maneuvering. Questions are already mounting. Has the decision already been made? And if so, what does that mean for the future of Shasta County elections? To understand how we got here, we have to go back to last July. When the Registrar of Voters position first became vacant, the board held multiple days of public interviews. Among the candidates were Clint Curtis, a controversial lawyer from Florida, and Joanna Franciscat, a respected elections official who already served Shasta County for over a decade. At that time, the board was deeply divided. Chair Kevin Cry became the swing vote. He leveraged his position to broker a deal, convincing Supervisors Kellstrom and Jones to abandon their support of Clint Curtis and instead appoint Tom Toller.
And Joanna, we've already spoken about this, so I would be supporting Joanna if we don't go with Tom. I want Tom to bring the things he spoke about.
Ultimately, Cry selected Tom Toller. Fast forward to today. Tom Toller has stepped down citing health reasons, as did his predecessor, Kathy Darling Allen, who, it is worth noting, trained Franciscat. Cry now seems poised to oppose Franciscat's appointment once again, despite being his second choice during the last round, raising serious questions about whether personal politics have taken precedence over public trust. In the months that followed, the strain on the elections office became undeniable. Shasta County elections have already faced enormous upheaval over the past 2 years. Widespread staff resignations, hostile political pressure, and public misinformation campaigns have eroded both morale and public trust. Kathy Darling Allen, a registrar who earned nearly 70% of the vote in her last election, cited the relentless hostility as a major factor in her departure. Tom Toller, who stepped in with Cry's support, lasted less than a year before citing similar health and stress concerns. It is important to note that when questioned about whether board pressure placed on Allen affected her health, Cry made light of the situation on his radio show.
She had mentioned that Kathy Darling Allen has a heart condition and is retiring, and asked if I felt any responsibility for her heart condition. You know what? You're right. I just throw my hands up and I said, it's 100% my fault, because as a strength and conditioning professional of over 20 years, I never had asked Kathy if she had done 4 to 5 days of light to moderate cardiovascular activity. I never once asked her if she'd weight trained 2 to 3 times a week, if she's taking various vitamins and minerals, and if she has hereditary, genes or tendencies towards heart disease that maybe her diet could have been affected by if she would have done things earlier. And of course, I was kind of flippant about it, because I said, yeah, it's all my fault.
Does Cry share the same sentiment about his last ROV pick, Tom Toller? Now, for the second appointment, the process appears less open. Cry and Supervisor Alan Long personally selected the finalists behind closed doors, offering the explanation that it would save time. But if time was truly the concern, why not simply appoint Joanna, the person Cry himself previously said was ready, with a little more experience? Since Tom's appointment, Joanna Franciscat has only deepened her qualification. She helped train Tom Toller. She has maintained operations through 2 leadership transitions, and she now holds the endorsement of the very registrar Cry once appointed for the position. The real question isn't whether Joanna Franciscat is ready. The question is, why has Cry moved the goalposts? The decision the board makes this week won't just affect who sits behind the desk at the elections department. It will directly impact every voter in Shasta County and the stability of our election system itself. This instability doesn't happen in a vacuum. There is video footage from 2024 showing Chair Cry and his supporters interfering with election staff, making demands and questioning basic procedures while staff tried to conduct official duties. These actions, combined with public disinformation about election security, have created a workplace environment so toxic that the elections department has become a revolving door. And it's already affecting voters. In November 2024, CalMatters reported that Shasta County was facing a mass exodus of election workers, raising serious concerns about whether future elections could be administered securely and efficiently. Choosing an experienced, steady hand to lead the department should be a top priority, not just for internal operations, but for every voter who depends on the system to function fairly and reliably. Just yesterday, in a Facebook comment, Chair Kevin Cry publicly defended Clint Curtis, one of the 5 finalists, against allegations that Curtis misrepresented his employment history. Cry argued that Curtis wasn't fired, but simply had his contract ended, a semantic dodge that ignores the central issue. The public deserves transparency, not technicalities, especially when it comes to who oversees elections. In another comment, Cry falsely claimed that Shasta County has 25 ballot drop boxes, a gross overstatement. In reality, Shasta County has 16 drop boxes, many located in deeply rural areas like Shingletown, Happy Valley, Bernie. Misleading the public about something so basic either shows a profound ignorance of local election operations or a willingness to distort facts for political advantage. Furthermore, reducing the number of ballot boxes wouldn't just save pennies. It would disenfranchise rural voters, many of whom have no easy way to reach the polling place without them. The right to vote shouldn't depend on how close you are to a city center. Rather than reinforcing trust, Cry's public defenses and false claims are only compounding the sense that this appointment process is manipulated behind the scenes, favoring politically convenient candidates over the one with the clearest qualifications. With the political pressures now clear, it's time to look closely at the 5 candidates the board will be interviewing. Joanna Francisca, the most experienced and locally trusted candidate. She's worked inside Shasta County's elections office for 16 years. She's been endorsed by both Tom Toller and Kathy Darling Allen, a rare bipartisan vote of confidence. Joanna represents institutional memory, stability, and deep knowledge of California election law. Danae Harris, an elections official from Virginia. Harris has strong administrative experience, but Virginia's election laws differ significantly from California's, particularly around vote-by-mail processes, ballot curing, and voter rights enforcement. Adapting to California's system would be a learning curve. Ellie Lay Sharp, a former elections deputy from Nevada. She helped implement cost-saving measures for vote-by-mail processes in Nevada and Placer County. However, her resume lacks clarity on the exact dates and roles, making it difficult to fully assess the depth of her leadership experience. Robin Underwood, a former municipal clerk from Michigan. Underwood has clerk certifications, but little direct elections leadership experience in California. Clint Curtis, a Florida-based attorney and political activist. Curtis is best known for his controversial testimony before Congress alleging vote rigging, testimony that was later dismissed as speculative and unsupported by official investigations. Of all the candidates up for appointment, the one that has the most publicly available information is Clint Curtis. Curtis's 2004 testimony before Congress, where he claimed he was asked to create vote-flipping software for a Florida politician.
I know that to be the case.
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I worked for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you...
When Congress reviewed his claims, they dismissed them as speculative and lacking credible evidence. Curtis repeats these same debunked claims in a 2008 documentary titled Murder, Spies, and Voting Lies, delivered in dramatic fashion, but still without supporting evidence. The film helped cement his place in election conspiracy circles, even as congressional investigators ultimately found no credible basis for his allegations. His political record also raises concern. Curtis ran for Congress as a Democrat, supported Black Lives Matter, and used hashtags such as VoteBlue2020. And yet today, he is backed by far-right election deniers like Laura Hobbs and Patrick Jones, figures whose values appear to contradict much of Curtis' public history. This raises questions. Is Curtis being championed for his experience, or simply because he reinforces a convenient narrative? And yet, just like last time, This may all be a distraction. Clint Curtis could once again be the red herring, drawing attention, stirring controversy, and ultimately clearing the way for a predetermined appointment. When we step back and look at the full picture, the reality becomes clear. The instability inside Shasta County's elections office wasn't an accident. It's a direct result of relentless political pressure, public disinformation, and a board majority that has treated experienced professionals as obstacles rather than assets. What's at stake is bigger than this appointment. It's whether Shasta County voters, especially those in rural and remote areas, will still have free and fair access to elections administered by professionals who know the law and respect the process. Joanna Francisca, the most qualified and proven candidate, represents stability, expertise, and continuity in a department desperate for all three. Francisca isn't just respected internally. A recent, though unscientific, online poll by the Record Searchlight asked voters who they wanted as the next registrar. Joanna received nearly 90% of that vote. The public knows who's qualified. Now the question is whether the board will listen. We have a choice: stability or chaos, experience or manipulation, integrity or political theater. If you care about the public trust, if you care about protecting your right to vote, I encourage you to act. Email your supervisors. Tell them you want an elections office led by experience, not politics. Attend the meeting this Wednesday at 11 a.m. in the Shasta Lake City Council chambers. Speak during public comment. Let your voice be part of the record. The path forward is obvious, if the board chooses to take it. If we don't demand better now, we'll be left asking after the next crisis why no one stood up when it mattered. And that's the breakdown.